Hello there, welcome to the PlugBox Podcast, where we discuss all things EV and renewables and generally have a damn good chinwag. Anyway, on with the show.
Good evening, are you there?
Hello there.
Good evening. How are you, Peter?
Wonderful. Another week, another PlugBox Podcast.
Yeah, another week. I think episode 8, is it this week?
That's it.
Episode 8.
Stampeding towards double digits.
We are, and we've had quite a healthy number of listeners I see on YouTube's over the last couple of weeks. So thank you very much to everybody who's listened in. Got another few items to discuss this week. Starting at the top, I think we're going to talk a little bit about Tesla Gigafactory in Berlin. Is it delayed? Is it not delayed? Seems to be a bit of debate there. We're going to get an update from yourself about your Zoe, which I think is arriving when?
Tomorrow, allegedly.
Ooh, exciting. Then I think we're going to talk a little bit about Arrival and Uber before wrapping up a bit of discussion about Renault being green.
Ah, yes, the old Renaulution.
Renaulution. I've not heard that before. That's a good one. No, not heard that.
Oh, I'm surprised. That's the official name of their midterm or their latest business plan.
Renaulution. Interesting. I wonder who they paid to come up with that.
It's a lot of money.
So, Tesla, what's going on in Germany? I've heard some reports. Delay or not delay? That is the question.
That is the question, indeed. I mean, who actually knows? Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of speculation, and I think a lot of lip service is given to maybe how poor the planning process is in Germany or in Europe or in the West in general, where unlike China, where they just tell people to move and flatten everything and build a factory in less than a year, things maybe take a little bit longer in Europe. But as I say, who actually knows?
Well, Mr. Musk, I think, has been quite outspoken about some of the challenges in Germany, getting permission for various things. And there is clearly a change in what he wanted originally. So he's talking about adding some cell production facility on the same site. So that's going to need some additional approval. But I think in reality, that's unlikely to affect the ongoing development and construction of the production facility. So I think I said to you earlier, I think this could be a case of slight mistaken identity in that the first serial production car, we are now being told, will ship in January of 2022. This is quite an important plant for Tesla in Europe. It will be where we will source our Model Y from. But of course, people were all latching onto the story that the first car will be built in the summer of 2021. Now, you and I both know that, being relatively close to the industry, that there will be 6-7 months potentially of trial production period before the first serial production is actually started. So I think it's likely that there is going to be a car built this calendar year, but
it'll be pushed very slowly by hand down the line.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Some prototype tools or some early development parts, getting to grips, or the line operators are going to be getting to grips with where things go. It's not going to be a car you want to buy, but it might be one that you want to test or learn from as a company. And then the first customer cars will be ready, I would have thought, in the first part of 2022. So maybe there isn't a delay. It's just people are misunderstanding what first car and serial production actually mean here.
Yeah, and I think there's some comment by, I'm not sure it was a local councillor or a local politician saying that he doesn't expect any delay or doesn't foresee it. So maybe he's a bit close to the matter. But as you say, maybe we're conflating, when the first car will be built, and
I think you're talking about Jörg
customer cars.
Jörg Steinbach, who is the German economic minister for the state of Brandenburg. He has come out very clearly and said that there is no 6-month delay. And I've heard elsewhere that there is actually a Tesla task force amongst the German ministry who are trying to support them in setting up of this facility because it's simply good for their economy. So, a little bit of debate and question about what's actually going on there. Either way, I think cars will be built this year. They just won't be customer cars.
Yeah, and it's it's kind of super important because one of my biggest irks is when analysts that are kind of bearish or not maybe so favourable towards Tesla say, demand's dropping off in Europe, but it's just like, hold on, there's no localized production. So, 1 month, a ship will drop off, tens of thousands of Teslas. And then
usually
other months there'll be nothing. Yeah, at the minute, either China or the US are batching European cars and sending them across. So, there's peaks and troughs in deliveries. It's got absolutely nothing to do with demand. So, when the localized production to Europe, that'll be a game changer. And as you quite rightly say, obviously starting with Model Y.
Yeah, I think I found a quote from Mr. Musk himself, and that says, "We're building factories as quickly as we can. Both Texas and Berlin are progressing well, and we expect to have initial limited production from those factories this year, with volume production from Texas and Berlin next year." So that backs up, I guess, the theory that we've just been musing.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. I think that...
What's next on the list?
Well, I think we've arrived at a suitable juncture.
Oh, dear.
That's a good segue, Pete. You're impressed with that. Arrival. Been in the news a lot this week.
Great time to be invested in Arrival.
So you keep telling me. I think it's probably a good start to give a little bit of detail about who Arrival actually are. For those listeners that don't know, Arrival is actually a British-American company. They have a headquarters in London. Their founder is actually a Russian guy, Denis Sverdlov. So he is spearheading some lightweight commercial vehicles, EVs, of course. And they have an R&D centre here in the UK in Oxfordshire and have done since March 2020. Headquarters, as I've already said, in London, but they also have offices in several places around the world. So quite a global company in that sense. And they've had a number of partnerships with the likes of Royal Mail, United Parcel Service, and I think more recently a company, UPS. Yes, UPS. But the big news this week is their affiliation with Uber. And that affiliation is to develop a bespoke electric car by 2023. I think it's come as a bit of a surprise, Pete. And do you think it's related to the good time to invest statement?
I mean, full disclosure, I'm invested in Arrival personally. So, take anything I say with a pinch of salt. But, yeah, you're right. And I think one of the things that Arrival are doing, as much as we've just talked about Tesla and localizing production, very simply speaking, they're going to have 1 or 2 giga, so massive factories on each continent, whereas Arrival's business model is to have these kind of micro factories, so have these very small modular factories that supply almost a local community. But in terms of the car, I think it almost caught people off guard. But when you kind of think about it, the cute van that they've kind of developed in conjunction with UPS and with Royal Mail, they're taking the clean sheet approach that you can do with electric vehicles and saying, what is everything that you need? And we can build something from the ground up. And they've done the same with buses. And I think now they're going to do the same with Uber, in terms of, we've got a clean sheet of paper to make an electric vehicle. What is it that your drivers or your business model need in terms of a, ride-hail service?
Well, from the outset, I think we need to say that the Royal Mail van looks fantastic. It is a great looking van. Brings me back to my childhood days of watching Postman Pat. It's a great looking thing. But this is their first dabble in, I think, the passenger car sector. Now, they always said that they would have a series of 4 platforms, varying in size, different vans, but one of them would be a smaller passenger vehicle. And this is the first time that they've announced it. So that I think they call their electric vehicles integrated transportation ecosystem. So interesting to see where this is going to go. Uber, as we know, is a very well-known company. They're operating in many places around the world, but they have stated that in London, they want their entire fleet to be electric by 2025. And the rest of Europe and North America by 2030. So great steps from them. Kudos from me.
Yeah, and I think Uber already offers certain pilot partner programs where drivers of combustion vehicles can upgrade or rent an electric vehicle, and maybe it just makes sense to, as I say, have something that's a clean sheet, that's bespoke, that can be made in some level of volume, that's maybe more cost competitive and also is exactly what someone needs in terms of a ride hailing service. And I guess parallels can be drawn with LEVC, right? So London Electric Vehicle Company, which is the Geely-owned brand that makes the black cabs in not just for London, but it was designed for London cabbies. But I think maybe Arrival has seen a big opportunity that, if they make something relatively good, as much as anyone can kind of buy that black cab from LEVC, it's quite a niche product. Whereas if they can make something similar that any minicab driver or ride-hailing service in terms of Uber, then potentially it's a very big market for them to explore.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. But no final decisions yet on the location for production in the UK, but I think we can assume it'll probably be near their R&D headquarters in Oxfordshire. They're claiming that it will be a very driver-centric vehicle, so very much focusing on the drivers who spend many hours a day working there in the Uber type of environment. So definitely one to look out for, and if you're so inclined to invest in, as Peter has said. But full disclosure, we're not financial experts, so don't take our word as gospel, please.
Very true indeed. So what's up next?
So a bit of an update, I think, from you on your On2 experience. So
yes,
week
on .2.
Yeah, you gave us a rundown of ordering a vehicle as a stopgap whilst you wait for your next vehicle to come along, and you signed up to On2. So what's the latest?
Yeah, so mine it was super easy to set up. A little bit paperwork, as you can imagine, for kind of the insurance and the hire agreement, but no different to any other car. Of course, everything was done online. And as much as I personally like a bit of a chat to someone, you don't have to speak to anyone. You can do it all online, no problem. Send them a snap of your driving license, select your car, select your colour, which is quite nice, and ultimately pay some cash. So depending on how close to your booking slot you are, either you pay all the money up front or you pay kind of half when you book and half on the delivery day. So yeah, my delivery day is tomorrow. So some point tomorrow morning, someone should be dropping me off a box fresh Renault Zoe, or what is it, ZE50 GT line. So the nice one, basically. Big battery, fast charging, and some of the toys. So in quartz white, nonetheless.
I think we'll have to expect a photo to go up on the PlugBox Instagram, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is the app, which is quite interesting. So many EVs and cars at large have some level of connectivity now. But one of the things with the Onto service is everything's done through their app. So shortly before your vehicle arrives, the app kicks into life. But using kind of the manufacturer's APIs, you can basically do whatever you can do natively on the manufacturer's app. So whether that's, put the windows up and down, lock and unlock, aircon, obviously is the main one, start, stop charging, you can do through the Onto app. So maybe clever. Next week I'll cover off that. But yeah, it means, as we mentioned in last week's podcast, it's only kind of 1 month commitment. So anytime within a month, you can either cancel it or another possibility is to swap the car. So, if I really wanted to, I could switch from a Renault Zoe to a Jaguar I-Pace, and the app then will just shift accordingly. So, it's quite smart, and we'll give an update next week on my first week with an Onto Renault Zoe.
Well, look forward to that one. Excellent. And actually, there was some news recently, wasn't there, about another affiliation between Onto and one of the UK charge networks, one of our preferred charge networks, I hasten to add.
Yeah, so I guess we should know. Well, yeah, one of our favourites, I guess, is Instavolt, right? Because as much as you kind of pay a premium for it, it was kind of the first network, certainly in the UK, where it was just tap to charge. So, you take your credit card, you put it over the wireless reader, and you pay for as much electricity as you use. Not too dissimilar to buying some fossils. So I've never personally had an issue with one. I've never had one that's not worked. So it's really reliable and simple to use. But yeah, as part of the Onto subscription, charging is included. So initially it started off with BP ChargeMaster or Pulse, whatever they're called this week. So you get a Pulse RFID card. You also get a Shell Recharge card, which allows you to use the New Motion network.
And these are physical cards as opposed to through the app?
Yeah, so these, you get the RFID card, so the credit card size card, I suppose, in the glove box when your car gets delivered. And then from the 17th of May, they'll be posting out a card for the Instavolt network as well. So, you should be pretty covered across all those networks. And as I say, it's all included in your subscription. So, even if you've got home charging, just go use one of these three networks, and it's all included in the single subscription price.
So you're well catered for in terms of options for charging. Then that's a great service, actually.
Yep, absolutely.
Good. Well, we're rattling through these subjects today. A bit of a quick fire news, actually, today. What's our final subject? Unless you've got any more. I think it was Renault.
Yeah, so the old Renaulution. So the Renaulution is Renault's new CEO's kind of business plan up to 2025. So the next sort of 3-4 years, about how they're going to be more profitable and how they're going to launch into new business areas. But they put out a press statement in their. I think they had a call this week. Saying that they want to be the greenest brand in Europe, which, okay, I guess that's a noble endeavour. What the greenest brand in Europe actually means, I'm not quite sure.
Yes.
But
What's the definition of greenest?
Well, that's the thing, and it kind of stuck in my throat a little bit. Is saying that by I think was it 2030, 9 out of 10 cars they sell will be electrified. So not electrified, which is a phrase I personally hate, to be honest with you.
Well, you and I both share that opinion because, well, electrified, as I see it, is it's often not linked to true BEVs, i.e. battery electric vehicles, but it's just a term that is latched onto hybrids or even mild hybrids. And frankly, it's very misleading to customers and consumers because they think they're buying something that's truly green or eco-friendly, and that's not always the case. As far as I'm concerned, and a lot of others true, if it's got an exhaust pipe, it's not truly green.
No, and very simply speaking, I'm not talking about Renault here, so they can't sue us. Just talking at large is, putting these small, what we call sandwich motors, so a really thin electric motor between kind of the engine and the gearbox, which they like to say supports the combustion engine. It's just the new start-stop, right? It makes the MPG and the test results better on paper than what it otherwise would be. But similar to start-stop, the energy has to come from somewhere. So that for me, especially with the self-charging hybrid advertising campaign, which again is horrendous, is, okay, there's an electric motor, but where does the energy come from? Oh, it's recuperated. Oh, okay, but I have to drive my internal combustion engine up to a speed to then recuperate energy.
Correct.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But what electrified means, I'm not quite sure. Obviously, Renault name is kind of E-Tech, and that's it's the 12 volt, 48 volt micro hybrid. They also have plug-in hybrids as well. I think there's going to be some announcement on the Megane E-Tech this week, but whether that's an EV or whether it's a plug-in or whether it's just one of these kind of silly micro hybrids is to be seen.
Yeah, I'd like to hasten to add as well that electrified is not a term that's used exclusively by Renault. It's being bounded around through a lot of OEMs around the world, and it's not necessarily the best and most consumer-friendly term. And actually, Renault have got some great-looking concepts out. I remember seeing the Renault 5 EV concept, which just looks stunning. Takes me back to my childhood again, when the Renault 5 Turbo was so bonkers it was dangerous, which of course made it immensely desirable. Look forward to see what they come up with in the future.
Showing your age now, Pete.
Yeah, well, you know me.
But yeah, it does look cool, and
yeah, it does look cool. Yeah, we finished a little bit earlier tonight than Pete than usual.
Yeah, I mean, we said in podcast past that there's always some EV news, but it seems to be quite light this week. But I think we've covered some topics off, and it'd be interesting to see what Arrival do going forward. I think the car's a great step, and I think there's a lot of things they can do with that on top of the bus and the delivery van that they've already announced.
Agreed. Should we knock it on the head there then?
Yeah, I think that's a good point to finish. Of course, we'll put it up on YouTube to re-listen, and we'll do it all over again next Thursday.
Yes. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening. Again, check us out on some of the social media platforms, and of course, we have a website, www.plugbox.co.uk. That'll take you to all of these podcast links as well onto YouTube. Let's finish there then, Pete. Thanks very much.
Till next time.
Bye now.